Dude, have you seen the new Tome of Foes book?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh my god, what's your favorite monster?
It's the Demogorgon. Hi everybody, welcome to GameGorgon. Our name is Krug.
My name is Indigo.
You didn't go with the
No,
joke.
I didn't because I was so thrown off. I always get thrown off when you surprise shit on me.
Today we're here to talk to you about Tome of Foes.
Tome of Foes is a new supplementary book by Wizards of the Coast. What?
It's Tome of Foes.
A new supplementary book by Wizards of the Coast for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It is not a required book. Like
No.
if you're a new group and you're playing, it's not a necessary book. Like I've gone through the book and I would say that this book is definitely aimed towards higher level groups, as well as more skilled DMs. Like I think if I started 5th edition and I got this book, I'd just be super confused.
Yeah.
Like half of the book is so much lore. Just lore about wars that went on, like the history of different races in the region, and like
Stuff that you probably would have had to have read the player's handbook and maybe the DMG to like have the background to understand, right?
Exactly. There's so much information in there. Like if you're just reading it for lore, it explains enough about it.
Okay.
But like you won't understand like the implementation.
Oh, like how you could use that in your own like environment. sort of.
Exactly. You're
Cool.
just like, oh,
That makes
great.
sense.
Like this is how the elves are. It isn't an adventure book at all. Like,
Yeah.
There's no. While there is a ton of lore, there is no story involved in it.
No playable module.
Exactly. There's a little bit of like player stuff that players can use. It's not a lot and it's sprinkled.
There's also one new race, which is the Gith, and there's 2 sub-races for that. Elves got a ton.
No, elves got, I think, 3. Yeah, elves got 3, but tieflings.
Oh, Tieflings got a ton.
Tieflings, it's 1 for every single like demon lord that they could have like been spawned from. Like we're gonna go in the really dark, demony, like demonic past of like the world.
Makes sense given the context of the rest of the book, right?
Exactly.
The dwarves also got the Dugar as a sub-race, and the gnomes got deep gnomes as a sub-race.
Like we were saying, it's just kind of sporadic of where it fits for the rest of the book because it is all about the foes.
No trouble.
And we know that because starting at page 115 all the way to 252, it's all monsters.
Yep, solid jam-packed things that are trying to kill you.
This would have been like Monster Manual 2, like if they decided to go that like nomenclature that they used to do in like 3.5. Jesus, there are so many like demon evil things that just want to just eat your face. It's really great because there's a couple of like lower level onesie twosies, but the majority of them, I want to say, is like 10 and above.
I think maybe the monsters at the beginning of the game are weighted towards lower levels because everybody's starting a new campaign, or most people are. So that is maybe a little less bland or a little more versatile in that like 1 to 7 or 8 level range. And then as you get higher and higher level, it's just like, well, how many people are going to make it to level 20? Do we need to spend all this like development time on hyper balancing like a god basically? Like, or can we not? And now I think this does 2 things. One, all these new monsters that are going to be put against probably higher skill groups are going to be monsters these higher skill players have never seen before.
Yeah.
So that's going to add a level of like, well, before when you were fighting these monsters, you were probably trying really hard to block that player knowledge out of your head.
You're like, oh, it's a troll.
Yeah, like you know exactly what this does. Now you don't have to try because, hey, guess what? You don't know what these monsters are. F you.
Well, and something that's going on outside of the show, GameGorgon. Something that's going on outside of GameGorgon is myself and 2 friends of mine, Josh and Colt, we're actually grouping up together, and we are putting a mega D&D session that you're involved in.
I am.
It's going to be 3 DMs and 15 players.
They're the 3 DMs. I'm the winning player.
It's going to be a really, really fun thing. The 3 DMs are working really hard together to like come up with a really fun story that we think everyone will enjoy.
I'm working really hard to not accidentally overhear them.
The best part of all of this is the fact that this book came out while we were in the midst of planning, and we're just like, oh my god, new monsters. Oh, this is amazing. This is perfect. We literally were like, this is my idea. I got to create a monster for this. I got to create a monster for that. And then the book came out, and we're like,
You can just use this.
I'm changing. I'm using that. It's,
And the other thing about that group is that it's pretty heavily weighted towards people that know a lot about D&D.
Yeah.
And so throwing all those monsters at us is just going to be... That's why I'm trying not to read the actual stat blocks of the individual monsters. I went through the races to see if I wanted to play any of them, but I haven't looked at most of the monsters. I looked at the ones for this episode that you pointed out to me. But other than that...
Some of the monsters, speaking of, that I really liked is the Nightwalker.
Yeah.
Which is just this giant, tall, like, scary...
It's as close to Slender Man as they could get without breaking copyright, I think, is really what's going on there.
The Oblex, which I really like.
Oh, is that the Make-A-Wish one?
Yes.
Yes, I like that one.
Why don't you tell them a little bit?
So, Make-A-Wish Foundation had somebody write to them saying that they wanted to...
come and visit them. Work with them for a day.
Exactly.
Basically.
They had Nolan create a monster and actually incorporated it into this book. And it has 3 kind of like parts to itself, 3 age groups that it can be when you encounter it. Each of them is really interesting, and I think like the evolution of it over time is really unique. It's the result of a Mind Flayer's experiment on an ooze. And so it's basically this ooze that has this kind of like ability to manipulate its appearance and control like facsimiles of other people that it's devoured and it's stolen their memories, and then it can create like a perfect replica of them and move them around. The replicas have to be attached by a thin layer of ooze, and if you block that layer of ooze, it just vanishes. I think it's a really cool mob. Like, I'm not just saying it because it's like, oh, Make-A-Wish Foundation. Like, you have to think those things are cool. No, it's genuinely cool ideas implemented in a cool way. And I don't know how much like of a hand in it he had versus the D&D people had, but like...
I'm sure it was like, oh,
I'm sure they
really
made
cool
sure it was balanced.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this would be really cool. And then it probably sparked the entire team's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about this?
Oh
and
my
this?
God. Yeah. And then like, and that's kind of how like the 3 of us DMing is working. Like one of us is like, so I'm thinking this, and like I'm trying to work on this, and then the other 2 would be like, oh my God, you could do this. Oh my God, you could do that. And then like at the end of it, we're just like, we've got too much cool shit. We have to cut some of the cool shit out, guys.
That's a good problem to have.
I will say, like, kind of last point, I know I mentioned it in the very beginning, it's not a necessary book, and I don't know if it's worth buying for most groups.
That's fair. If you don't want to buy a physical copy and you don't want to buy the full book, if you're not aware, on D&D Beyond, you can buy specific sections of books. So if you want to, for example, just get access to the playable races and you want to, contribute to Wizards of the Coast financially instead of pirating them on the internet, which QueueTimes never supports piracy on the internet, you can just go to D&D Beyond and purchase just the playable part of that book and not play the monsters, for example. So if that's something that interests you, you can go ahead and do that. It's obviously cheaper at that point if you're just paying for a fraction of the book. That having been said, if you think that you can handle it, or if you think that your players can handle it, more importantly, the monsters look fun. I would play them for sure.
Very much so. Why don't you guys head down in the comments and let us know what monster you think is the coolest, other than the Demogorgon, of course.
Of course.
While you guys are down there, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and then hit us up on Instagram. Our Instagram is at QueueTimes, and you guys can also head over to Twitter as well and have a conversation with us. You can meet me there at IndigoQT.
You can also get me on Twitter at CrewQT. You can also reach both of us at _QueueTimes. We've been GameGorgon, Demogorgon, Gorgon. We're the Gorgon. Do you get it? It's the name. We'll see you guys next time, I guess.